Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which time zone you're joining us from. And a warm welcome to each one of you. Thank you so much for taking a time to join this session. All right. Our topic for today is resume and career management strategy for CSMs and CSPOs. And before we proceed, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Heater. He is a globally recognized agile coach and trainer based on Sao Paulo. With over 20 years of experience, he has worked with esteemed organizations such as Yamaha and Siemens Mobile, fostering agile adoption and implementing Scrum practices. As a certified Scrum trainer at Maximus, he has trained over 5,000 professionals worldwide. Additionally, he holds an MSc in Information Technology from the University of Stuttgart, passionate about knowledge sharing. He writes articles, ebooks, and speaker conferences whenever possible. And without any further ado, I would like to hand over the session to Mr. Eater.
Hi, thanks, Soumya. Just a quick, I don't know, can everybody see me? I'm not used to using Zoom. Okay, all right.
Yes, I'm able to see.
So my name is pronounced Aitor. It was written slightly different from what is pronounced. As she mentioned, I've been training people since 2007. That's quite a long time training people across the planet, right? Especially in the Americas, Europe, and India, right? So what I'm going to be talking about today is resume and career management strategy for CSMs and CSPOs. Let's just call this term CSMs and CSPOs, right? That encompasses pretty much everybody there. I'm just going to call them agilists, right? So you are an agilist. If you would ever attended a CSM training, whether with me, with other trainers, or a CSPO training, or you work as an agile coach, or you work as an agile master, right? There are many terms that fall under this umbrella that we are calling agilists nowadays. All right. All right, so get your cell phones ready, please. Big ask right now, those of you watching me right now, take a phone, right, and have it handy by yourself, right, close to yourself, in your hands right now, all right, because I'm going to be asking questions, and you guys are going to be interacting with me using your cell phone, all right. I'm also going to be sharing a template I prepared for you guys as more of a career plan, right? So you can download that using our using my QR codes I'm going to be sharing with you guys. You can also interact by asking questions using our tool, our Zoom Q&A feature. All right, feel free to ask any questions at any time. All right, guys, take a look at this picture here. This is the comprehensive list. This is a very, very recent article written by TechCrunch. And this looks like a bad picture. I know that pretty much most of you guys are looking at this picture and going like, oh my God, people are being laid off consistently throughout the year, right? January, 84,714 people laid off, all the way down to July, almost 10,000 people being laid off in the tech industry, ranging from big companies to smaller companies that we have around. All right. Most people will take a look at this picture and see it in a negative way, right? That's why I'm here. I wanted to understand that even though we are having these layoffs throughout this year, right? I wanted to understand that this got to be seen actually as an opportunity for you if you're looking for a job right now, right? Why is that? Companies are laying off people for many reasons, right? And I've heard and I've spoken to customers. I speak to customers pretty much every month consistently, right? so that I can have a feeling of how's the work market, how are you hiring Agilists, what type of people do you need, what type of skill set you're looking for. And people are laying off for many reasons. One of the reasons I heard was the salaries are too high. We can't hire the same skill for and pay less. That's true. Another reason I heard was we have during the pandemic, major companies, they boomed, right? And that's another reason we don't have enough projects to keep these people working in our company. So that's why people are being laid off. And in these ranges, there's a spectrum of why people are the reasons spectrum of why people are being laid off is very broad. All right, but I don't want you to see that as something negative. See this as an opportunity, right? And but we have a lot of people here in the audience. I want to know. Take a cell phone, take a picture of this QR code here, and select what applies for your current job situation. Are you looking for a job right now? Are you unemployed or in between jobs right now? Right. As soon as you go answering the questions, the results are going to be displayed instantly here on the screen. Right. I'm employed and I'm super happy. Right. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be here, of course. You're here because you always got to be looking for new opportunities, right? I'm employed and looking for a better opportunity, right? Maybe I'm not so happy there anymore. Or I'm unemployed in between jobs. All right, there we go. Check it out. I have 17 people that answered, right? See how the numbers fluctuate. I think the most important thing, guys, is that you guys understand that even if I'm already employed, right, and I'm or whether I'm in between jobs, it doesn't matter. We tend, as human beings, we tend to go into a comfort zone that is not positive for your career. Whether even if you're not an agilist, it really doesn't matter, right? Let's focus on agilists. If you're an agilist and you are working for a big company, maybe a cool company, you're happy there, like most of you guys are. That's awesome. That's awesome. But remember, nobody better than yourself to think about and plan your own career. Don't wait for HR to plan your career, right? Don't wait to be unemployed to plan your career. Planning your career is something that you have to be doing consistently during your active years of employment, right? Before you get all the way from the moment you leave university or high school, doesn't matter what background you have, you got to start planning your career since the very beginning of your work life. All right, so I'm going to stop here. I think we have a pretty cool picture of the audience here. Right, thanks for all of you guys are answered, and I'm very happy to see that most of you guys are employed and looking for a better opportunity, because this webinar is going to fit 100% most of you guys here. Those of you that are employed and super happy, that's awesome. Congratulations. If you are unemployed and in between jobs, pay attention to the tips that I'm going to be sharing with you guys here. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. All right. What I'm going to be covering here, I'm going to help you guys to create a learning plan, right? This learning plan, you can think of this here as your career plan, right? How do I plan? What type of knowledge? What are the things that I need to know about when looking for a job, right? Then I'm going to share with you guys the 5 knowledge areas for agilists, right? These knowledge areas were subject research for many years. And I'm going to be sharing them with you guys here today, and 3 tips for your next interview. A lot of people that participate in job interviews, when you get to be invited to interview, right, have a lot of difficulties in passing this barrier, right? And I want to give you guys some 3 tips, because I also hire agilists, and sometimes I'm hired by customers to hire agilists. And by agilists, again, Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, product owners, Agile Masters. There are many names around, right? Enterprise coaches and so on, all right? All right, take a look at this. This is the pay for an Agilist today, right? This is from Indeed.com. I think it's one of the biggest job search websites right now in the United States, right? So not a bad pay, right? It's actually pretty good, all right? Now, this pay here shouldn't be the only factor you got to take into account. Check it out. Take a look at this bigger picture here. Agile code, hybrid, etc. There are many hundreds. I'm not going to say hundreds of thousands because it's going down a little bit because of the layoffs, but there are thousands of opportunities right now. If you go on LinkedIn, for example, and look for Agile coaches or positions, or Agile coaches or Scrum Masters or product owners or Agile project management, right? When you're looking for to work as an Agilist, you have to be open-minded. There are many names that people are given to people that are working with Agile around, all right? Now, instead of saying this as something negative, right? Wow, there's so many positions open right now, but at the same time, there are so many applicants, right? I want you to see this glass half full. I don't want you to focus on the number of applicants, because I'm saying this because I get a lot of people that contact me via Instagram or WhatsApp or iMessage telling me that, oh my God, how can I stand out in the crowd given that there are hundreds of applicants to the job post that I'm applying right now, right? Look, guys, the first thing you need to understand, less than 10%, that's a big number. Of these applicants are actually a considerable match, right? And you do want to be a considerable match, right? And what are the things that you can strengthen? What are the 3 strengths you need to have? You need to work on yourself to be, or turn to be, or become a considerable match for companies, all right? So don't get scared away by the number of applicants of a job post. Don't be moved only by the salary, which is pretty good, right? 160 grand per annum is not a bad salary. It's actually pretty good, right? Think about what is moving you, right, before you apply. Think about why do you want that before you apply. And remember the 3 strengths that I'm going to be sharing with you in a moment, and the 5 knowledge areas that you need to have, that you need to know as an Agilist to be an outstanding Agilist, all right? So knowledge, attitude, and networking. These are the 3 variables you need to work on to increase the probability of being a match candidate, a potential match, a potential candidate that's going to be, you know, this is directly proportional to the probability of landing a new job, landing a new opportunity, right? Wait, I'm not saying experience here, probably wondering, right? Experience isn't here because it's not among the top 3 variables that you got to work on. This may sound shocking to most of you, but that's the reality. Many companies are investing more and more on their hiring processes because it's cheaper to hire if you think about skills and experience only. It's easy. It's an easy hire, but it's very expensive if you're hiring a person that doesn't match with the company culture. So hiring for skills is cheap, but firing for behavior is very expensive. Do you understand? So that's why these companies are investing more and more on their hiring process, because they really want to try to open your head and see what's in there. Is this guy a match to our company culture? In terms of skills, it's super easy to measure, right? You can have a questionnaire, you can have a survey, you can have a quick one-on-one back and forth type of interview, checking whether you possess the knowledge when it comes to agile estimation and planning, for example, right? but trying to understand, what do you value? What type of, how much of a team player you are? How flexible are you, right? It's super hard, right? So you got to work on knowledge, attitude, and networking. Let me elaborate on knowledge first. Knowledge is number one. Knowledge is number one. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that I have to know all there is to know when it comes to Agile. I have a pile of books here, like several piles of books here about Agile. Do I have to read all these books? You don't have to read all these books. You need to find curated source of knowledge, right? That's what I've been doing for the last 10 years, almost 10 years, right? Because I train people. I have a training program, right? I call this training program Certified Agile Coach, right? It's a program that belongs to me, and it's based on what I've seen and what I do when I get hired to conduct a transformation project or an agile transformation project in potential customers, right? And what I have identified in the last 10 years is that companies that hire us, Agilists, they're looking to get their problem solved. They're looking for results, right? And how are you supposed to achieve results, deliver results to your customer, if you don't have the necessary tools, or you don't own the necessary techniques? You don't understand what type of techniques I can use on a particular type of context, right? That all falls under the umbrella of knowledge. You have to study Scrum, you have to study Kanban, and that's it, right? No. Most Agilists that we see around, they know about Scrum, and they know about Kanban, and now a lot of them know about SAFe, right, which is a way to scale Agile project-wise across the organization, right? Well, it's not enough, right? Hang in there. Scrum and Kanban and SAFe, Scrum, Kanban, and SAFe is not enough. You got to know about other things like management, like leadership, like agile project management, like knowledge about yourself. I'm going to cover these 5 knowledge areas in a moment, all right? But that's about knowledge. Remember, the main thing here about knowledge, Scrum, only agile knowledge. That's my thing. Only agile knowledge is not enough. All right. Wait, but I'm an agilist. That's right. But we are hired to operate under circumstances that go beyond agile. Number 2, attitude. Attitude is about participating in a job interview, for example, and be able to understand how's people reacting to my answers. How do I answer? How can I elaborate an answer that will sound positive, that will speak for myself, even if I don't have the skill set or the knowledge that the person is asking right now? That's your attitude. You got to have a positive attitude continuously. And positive attitude speaks for body language, for example. Take a look at me giving this presentation right now. Do you see movement in my hands? Do you see, take a look at my body language. It's kind of hard to see the body language when we are in virtual environments like this one here, but it's not impossible. You can see most part of my torso. You can see my hands. You can see my face. This is what I look for on a candidate. This is what I look. I try to identify how's this attitude, body language, type of answer, intonation in the voice. All of these things count when you participate on a job interview. All these things count. And what interviewers want to see when hiring for Agilists is positive attitude in terms of how do you answer, how to position yourself, what's your posture, all right? Networking. You got to know people. You need to belong to a group that is bigger than yourself, just for networking. Of course, pertaining to a group that is very big, a group of Agilists across the United States, a group of Agilists across India, a group of Agilists across the globe, is very positive because you learn from these people, right? But it's also very positive because of networking. If you're going to be interviewed by a company, or you're going to be applying to a company and you already know somebody there, this indication can be very valuable. It can be really a differentiating aspect. If you have somebody in a company that is hiring, and this somebody belongs to the same group of people, to the same affiliation, to a specific or whatever, that's halfway there, right? So knowledge, attitude, and network. And this is going to increase the probability of being a match candidate. All right. There's a cool question here by Sharania, and she's saying, I'm currently having senior software engineer designation. Can I apply for a Scrum Master role? And how important is the designation when it comes to interview? Will I get a Scrum Master position? Yes, of course. First, you got to acquire the knowledge that a Scrum Master needs to have, Sharani, right? What's the knowledge that a great agilist? Well, if you think of only Scrum Master, that's awesome. I mean, I'm going to attend a CSM training, perhaps attend a CSM training with me or any other trainer on behalf of KnowledgeHut. But if you want to stand out in the crowd, this is the 95% of all candidates, that's how they think. I'm going to take a CSM training and I'm going to learn about the Scrum Guide, and I'm going to learn about anything there's to learn when it comes to Scrum, facilitation, interview, etc. That's not enough, guys. You got to go beyond that. If you want to stand out in the crowd, you got to pour knowledge during the interview, right? So, because this is super easy. This is how people usually think. If you want to stand out in the crowd, you got to go beyond that. So what are the other knowledge areas I need to have, or I need to know when it comes to being an agilist? I'm going to cover that in a moment. So it's totally possible, Sharania. A QA engineer, I want to change my domain to CSPO. How do I build my resume? We're going to cover that in a moment. All right. All right. Nice. Check it out. You got to create a career plan. Answering a question right now. You got to create a career plan that covers all knowledge areas to work as an agilist. Right. But how am I supposed to know what knowledge areas are there? What are these knowledge areas? What type of things do I need to, do I need to understand? Do I need to know? Do I need to know how to apply? Right? If I want to work as a Scrum Master, for example, like the lady was asking. Right? So take your cell phone again, please, and follow this link here. I prepared in this link a free Agilist career plan, so you can assemble your career plan. All right. You got to have a flexible mindset, right? Agility is about flexibility, it's about adaptability. You got to be adaptable, you got to be flexible yourself when it comes to being an agilist. So it's the first thing, right? Sometimes for you, as who's a QA engineer, sometimes engineers have a very rigid type of mindset. This is not cool. If you want to be an agilist, you got to be able to, adapt yourself to situations so that you can really say, I am an agilist, and I preach this mindset. I preach the mindset of flexibility, and I'm flexible myself too. That's very important, right? All right. So what you're going to see in this link is a career plan, a template that I created, and I've added there the 5 knowledge areas you need to know when it comes to being an agilist, right? Leadership, teaching and facilitation, business agility, knowledge about yourself, right? Professional coaching, agile product and project management, right? What are those areas? These are the 5 knowledge areas for an outstanding agilist. I want to be a Scrum Master. Do I need to know all of that? I want to be a product owner. Do I need to know all of that? You don't. From a practical standpoint, you don't, because people are not going to hire you to, to coach the whole corporation, the whole company, right? Like a professional coach would, right? People are going to hire you to deliver results. And if you if you have only Scrum in your head, and you eventually encounter a barrier that's gonna stop you from succeeding with Agile in the company, what are you gonna do? We're just going to raise a flag and say, look, I need to get rid of this type of resistance that I encountered here, or you got to do this yourself. You need to understand that the most barriers that you're going to find that are going to be playing against the grain of Agile or the Agile mindset in the company, they are not in your team. They are in management. They are belonging to perhaps a different department in the company, or perhaps to the way people in marketing do what they do, or perhaps to the way managers are used to think and hold people accountable, the way they hold people accountable in the company. And how do you change that? Not with Scrum. How do you change that? Not with Kanban. You don't change that with Agile only. Do you understand? You got to understand there Agile is one variable, is one gear in this big machine that we call the organization. And you need to understand which gear needs to be oiled or perhaps changed or adjusted somehow. Do you understand? You need to see the company. This, some people call this a systems thinking approach. All right. So you do need to understand a bit about business agility. So you got to know about, have a deep knowledge of Lean Agile, understand a little bit about management. When it comes to management, I mean finance, I mean strategic management. Like, for example, when you learn about OKRs, objective and key results, that framework, that's the realm you're operating in, business agility, right? Agile product and project management, for example, this goes without saying, fundamental. Most of us, when hiring a company, we need to make sure the project is going to be deliver results. The project is going to be delivered on timely manner, right? Professional coaching, of course. You need to get trained in coaching by renowned schools. You have to have coaching tools to develop people, be it in person or in a virtual home office type of environment, right? Knowledge about the self. This is in the post-pandemic world, I would say this is the major differentiating aspect for a professional around the 21st century, because the knowledge about the self speaks for mental resilience, right? Leadership, teaching, and facilitation. You need to have the ability to inspire people. You need to have the ability to train people, teach people things, and you need to have the ability to facilitate processes in a neutral way, right? So these are the 5 knowledge areas. But what type of activities are there? What type of things I gotta learn, right? When I delve into one of the areas, do I need to master all of them? Look, you don't have to master all of them. Business agility in itself is a very big area. You could write a PhD thesis speaking about business agility. Knowledge about the self is a journey, right? You have to know, you have to have a high ability to perceive your surroundings, empathy, you have to be empathetic toward people. How do I develop emotional intelligence? I'm talking about things like meditation. I'm talking about things like getting connected with yourself, right? It's a lifetime journey. So you don't have to master all of these areas because it's unnecessary. But you need to know that these areas exist, because when you start working as a Scrum Master, you will eventually, after a few sprints, you will identify that you already are very good at Scrum. You know a lot about Agile. People know how to operate under Scrum rules. And then what's your role there? What you going to do, right? So you need to know where to direct your attention now when it comes to your career management. Perhaps you identify that professional coaching is super cool and you love this area and you delve into this area. Do you understand? So these are the things you need to know. I usually put it this way. You don't have to master, right, all of those areas because it's a lifetime. You got to know these areas exist. You got to know a little bit what's necessary out of these areas so that you can apply on a daily basis. All right. And how do I do that? So you have your career plan over there. make a copy of this plan, and that's your product backlog, right? It's like a product backlog of activities that I have created, thinking about the 3 strengths you need to have, which is knowledge, networking, I'm going to put in my order: knowledge, attitude, and networking. Right, these 3 areas are in the career plan. If we have time at the end of the webinar, I can open the document and explain a bit to you guys. Self-explanatory though, right? All the way at the end of the document, you're going to find some rules. These are the 6 rules you need to follow daily, so that you create on a weekly basis a sprint backlog comprising of 6 activities, right? Per day, right? So at least at most 6 activities per day. Put, of course, the high priorities activities at the top. It only moves to the next activity after checking the first one, right? And then at the end of the day, take a look at how many needs to be carried over to the next day, those that he didn't finish, right? And then each week you create another weekly plan, right? So how do I create this weekly plan? By on a daily basis, I go work and boom, boom, I have a daily sprint, kind of a sprint backlog that changes over time, right? During the whole week. Don't create a big sprint backlog. Like if you go like, I'm going to have 6 activities times 5 days, that's 30 activities. You can do that if you want, right? But this is going to put too much pressure on you. That's why I call this a sprint, right? I would say go on a daily basis, check in, and consuming this product backlog slowly, 6 tasks at a time, right? And if you have spillovers, that's all right. Okay. That's the idea. So you have a big career product backlog, and then you consume this product backlog slowly, right, weekly. All right. Let me take a look at some of the questions I have here right now, Sila. Yeah. Oh, Q&A. Let's go to the Q&A. Here we go. Okay. So I'm new to CSPO. However, I do have experience with business and customer handling. What would you suggest me to do? I'm thinking of business analyst or product owner. If you're new to CSPO, you've already have experience with business customer handling. Well, you know, 90%, if I could risk a number, I would say that maybe 90% of product owners are business analysts. All right. So if you want to become a business analyst today, you will probably work like a product owner. So either way is fine. Either one is fine. All right. Beeple is saying now training as many companies are looking for techie-like experts in Amazon Web Services. Lack is Scrum Master. Your Scrum Master is not tech. Early Scrum is not. Well, you know why people do that, Beeple? Because it's cheaper. Think of yourself as a business owner. No company was created. Look, you have to assume the responsibility of your career, right? No company was created to do Scrum. 0 companies on the planet were created to do Scrum. Scrum is a tool to help us succeed, one among thousands of tools, right? It doesn't matter if the training is that, right? You have to make sure if that's the thing. Well, here, not every company thinks of Scrum Masters as somebody being technical. Try to find the right company for yourself, or be flexible and adjust yourself. Go and learn Slack. Go and be a software developer as well. If you really want to work on that company, and if that company hires Scrum Masters as technical people, then be technical. Maybe it's not the career for you. Maybe you are on the wrong path. Or maybe you should just work for companies that see Scrum Masters as Scrum Masters are supposed to be, not technical people. Remember, there's no right or wrong here. There's only the way that fits the company better, right? Been working as PMO for 15 years. I have completed Scrum Master training as well. But but I have not received any responses that I have experienced as Scrum Master. Aha. So that's exactly what we're talking about here, Pushkar. Experienced guys, look. All right, so you guys can see me here. Experience is one of the variables, but not top three. The top three variables you need to strengthen is knowledge, attitude. How do you behave in an interview, and knowledge, attitude, and networking. That's it. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna say a little bit about that in a moment. I'm new to all this thing and don't know if I'm on the right path to landing this agile job. I recently became a CSM. I have a background in architecture and construction project management. However, I have a gap in my experience with the migration to a new country, working in a different industry after moving, and then having a baby. I don't know how to start again. I need guidance. Well, that's why we're here, right? So I got to create a product backlog, make a copy of this career plan, this template I share with you. Start from there, right? Have a plan. How can I say CSMs special? Because the experience and drive customer success a product ownership. Create cases, right? If you are you can create those cases on the LinkedIn account. I think that would be pretty cool. What type of results have you delivered during your successful projects when it comes to if you worked as a product manager or with product ownership, what results did you deliver? Put this on your LinkedIn. I think that's going to be cool. Stand out. Safe 6.0. How should I apply? Should I apply for PM or PO? By PM, I suppose you mean product manager. Either one is fine. I think there's absolutely no difference at all. Muitaba. What networking strategies can CSMs and CSPOs use to expand the professional contacts and opportunities? Participating, for example, in events as volunteers organizing events around the globe. There are many events you can organize, for example, in the United States, even though you're not there. If you were there, you can organize events in Europe. This gives you a little bit of an international type of picture when people look on your LinkedIn and see that you volunteer for events, and that's super cool for your LinkedIn profile, right? And these events are great ways to network with people. Participate in groups, Lean Agile groups on LinkedIn, for example, Scrum groups on LinkedIn, participate in WhatsApp groups on LinkedIn, and use these groups to network. Networking, guys. Back before the pandemic, we used to socialize to network. Now we network without even socializing. I don't know if you noticed that. Networking means I'm going to ask something if I need something, or I'm going to offer something if I have something to offer. That's networking 101. There are many companies who are looking for CSMs to be more focused on upsell and cross-sell instead of delivery. Value realization, product enhancements, issues in onboarding. What's your take on this? I think, Ashish, this is something that the role of the Scrum Master is the role of the Scrum Master. I would risk saying that this role is going through some changes now. So some of you guys typed here in our Q&A that some companies are asking Scrum Masters to be technical. Some companies are asking Scrum Masters to be more focused on an upsell, for example. My take on this is the companies do whatever is necessary to maintain the business. Do you understand? Companies are not going to do Scrum just because the Scrum guide says so. So you guys need to understand that, right? The other thing you guys need to understand is that companies will always need us. Always, no matter what happens, they will always need us. Why is that? Because the need for flexibility, for adjusting how we work, the need for a more flexible or adaptive governance is always going to be there, because companies always want to be doing, companies always wanted, and we always will be doing things cheaper and faster. All right. I'm experienced software quality engineer and done CSPO certification. Can I get an offer for the above? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. All right. try to rephrase that. All right, so let me give you guys some tips, and then I come back to the questions, for the questions. All right, now for next job interview, I want to give you guys 3 tips for your next job interview. Now, what I'm going to be sharing with you guys is based on my experience interviewing people. I have in this crazy spectrum of type of people we find on job interviews, it's very broad. We see people from different creeds and different cultures and different skill sets, but everybody wants to be an agilist. All right. Remember the document I shared with you. Focus on this thing. Learn. Create a learning plan. All right. Now, when it comes to interview, you need to have a positive attitude. All right. Here we go. First thing you need to understand, there is a big gap, very big gap between employers and employees. More than ever. On one side, we have people like you guys, most of you guys, that want to find a better opportunity. I really want to work somewhere. And on the other side, there are employers that will keep hiring, because, as I said, that we always need people to help them succeed in doing more with less forever. So if they want to hire and you want to get hired, why is it there is no match? This is what I want you to think about. All right. You may hire, you may, raise, concerns like, every time I participate on a job interview, they say that I'm not qualified, or there are so many companies hiring, and I already have applied for 30 opportunities, but all of them said me no because of XYZ. Or, guys, you build your own reality. If you understand, there are multiple mindsets through which you need to grow and reach your higher consciousness so that you can assume responsibility over things that happen to you, even if it's something that is beyond your control. It's your problem. This is a big problem, isn't it? We have a gap, and every time I apply, they say no. Every time I participate on a job interview, there's always something wrong there. I feel it, but I don't know what it is. Or maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you think it was awesome, right? But nevertheless, they give a negative answer. That's your problem. It's not them. It's not the company. Do you understand? This gap exists, period. What can I do? Because you want to get hired. Don't wait for the company to change their mindset and help them see how good you are. You got to do this yourself. Do you understand? Think about, what can you change? How am I behaving on a job interview? When you participate on job interview, guys, you have to make sure that, whether you go very confident or not, it doesn't matter. Note down reactions. When you say something, write down the facial reaction. If there's no facial reaction, try to understand verbally. What do you think about my answer? Why not ask that? Right? They will be able to they'll be forced to answer. Right? Write it down. Their reaction, whether positive or negative. Right? Do this in every single interview. You're going to find a pattern, and that's where you're failing. Perhaps you got to change here how you behave. Perhaps the type of verbs I'm using when answering questions on a job interview. Perhaps the type of intonation I use. Look at the intonations I'm using here in this presentation, guys. Think about that, right? If I was presenting just like, hey, there is a big gap between employers and employees, and this gap is big, guys. It's really complicated, and I think you should do something. It's going to be dead boring, tedious. You're going to drop the call. You understand? You see how intonation keeps people engaged and makes people pay attention? That's what I'm talking about, right? So here, 3 tips on our next interview. right? So if you ever participate in a job interview and don't understand, this is Kaizen applied to your career, right? Research LinkedIn. Who's going to be interviewing you? This establishes or helps you establish rapport. If you're going to be hired by Bob Smith, whatever, that works for company XYZ, he or she, so he's going to be interviewing you. Research on LinkedIn his profile. Take a look at the groups he belongs to and apply for the same groups. What type of articles he reads, what type of things he publishes or shares. Take a look at that and research about this person. You have to establish rapport with this person that is going to be interviewing you. Do you understand? If you talk about the same interests and the person notice that you have, resonant interests, that's going to be awesome. This helps you build a rapport, right? You got to say no without saying no. This kind of sounds very paradoxical, I know. The idea of the sentence is, imagine, for example, somebody on an interview asks you about a skill set that you don't have, right? Have you ever conducted a sprint planning in your life, for example? If you haven't, most people would say, no, I have not. Yeah. Right? What do you think about this answer? Wow, we just buried your chance of getting through this interview. Perhaps there's another one to interview to participate. Perhaps that's the last interview. There's only one. I don't know. You have to make sure you're going to overcome the barrier of the interview. For some people, it's a barrier. I see the interview as an opportunity for you to understand whether the company deserves you. Do you understand? This is fundamental, guys. Well, I'm not going to delve into this, aspect, but I get very passionate when I talk about that. But saying no without saying no means, well, yeah, sprint planning, fundamental. That's the moment in which we answer the following question: how much work fits in the next sprint? We got to have the product owner participating. We got to have everybody participating. And I have 3 agendas up my sleeve here so that people keep, people are always engaged. I have Miros. I have dashboards I use to engage people in the meetings. And that's how I usually do it. Boom, boom, boom. You summarize your agenda in three points, and that's awesome. So the person is going to right off the bat understand that you know a lot about sprint planning, that you know about what you're talking about, and perhaps the person is not going to ask or emphasize or ask again, well, yeah, have you ever attended or not? Right? The probability of this happening, if you really pour knowledge in your answer, is very low. It's very low. The person is going to be satisfied with your answer. That's having a positive attitude. All right. Number 3, if you don't have experience, focus on what you learn. If you don't have experience, you have to rely on the knowledge you carry in your head. What knowledge? The knowledge you find in the career plan that I share with you. All right. You got to have solid foundations when it comes to Agile. And you need to understand those 5 knowledge areas. All right. There are many things in Agile that let me give an example. For example, this book here. This was the very first book ever published about user stories. This is a book by Mike Cohn. This is the book that made the concept of user stories popular across the planet. Right now, most Agile coaches, most Agilists that participate in my trainings, they never heard of this book, which is crazy if you think about it, isn't it? This book, among others, there are references in Agile for us trainers, right? Why not being a reference for you guys? Well, how is it that you've never heard of this books? Something's wrong, right? Remember, it's your problem. You have to make sure that you're going to be hearing or understanding what these books are, right? Everybody that participates in my trainings, I provide a Dropbox with learning supplements like reading recommendations, right? Knowledge, guys. That's the thing. I'm talking about these foundational books because there are way too many courses around, right? If you go to Udemy or so, you're going to probably find a lot of Scrum courses, Agile courses, OKR courses, etc. And make an experiment. Take 3 courses, right, from different sources, and take a look at the Scrum Guide. You're going to see that each one of them will most likely be talking about their interpretation of the Scrum Guide. So therefore, this leads to a world where there is no common denominator when it comes to Agile. That's the problem. Do you understand? So perhaps the person that is interviewing you doesn't know enough about Scrum. Perhaps they attend a crazy training somewhere where the teacher or the instructor don't know the foundational books, right? That's a problem. So you need to really to be careful where you're getting your knowledge from, right? So that's heads up for you guys there. All right. Terrific. So follow this link here to enter my WhatsApp group. I have a WhatsApp group containing, there are a lot of people from across the planet, right? We share a lot of experience there. We belong to something bigger than ourselves when it comes to agility. And if you have further questions, you can reach out at ator@maximus.com. All right. So I'm going to be thanking you a lot for participating, for being here. I'm going to answer your questions now. All right. I'm going to leave here on the screen. If you guys want to participate in the group, go ahead. So here we go. Dipendra, she's asking, having 14 years of experience as software senior lead engineer, CSM certified AWS solution architect, what should be my career advice for me to go forward? Your career advice? It depends on what you want to do, Dipendra. I don't know, if you want to be a Scrum Master, right? If you are a software engineer, I think it's very positive, right? It helps you. If you're a technical person and work and is going to be applying to work as a Scrum Master, understanding the pains, difficulties, and details of things on a daily basis when it comes to software development, I think it's very positive. It's more challenging for you as an engineer, because it's hard for you to take off the hat of the engineer and put the hat of the Scrum Master, right? That means you shouldn't get involved in technical discussions. You shouldn't say people how. You should inspire the need for more in people, right? So, but it's totally feasible, right? All right. I'm having 2.2 years experience. Jesus Christ, that's very specific, right? In Java development now. Last week, I am CSPO certified. I can apply for product owner roles. All right. So, Samantha, if you are, well, is there any chance that some company is going to be asking for a technical product owners? There is, right? It's more common in the Scrum Master world, so to say, but it's also possible in the CSPO. A product owner, a technical product owner is positive, and I think it's awesome if you're working with a very big product, right? So everything is very technical, and maybe we're building something for technical people. In this case, the PO has got to be a technical person, right? So how can you apply? I don't know. I would be very careful about that, Samantha. But I would attend courses on product management or product ownership. These two areas are very mixed, right? I will start taking courses like that. Your current CTC is around 14 LP. I don't understand that, Samantha. Ashish, I understand this is about how you proceed in your role interviews. However, I'd like to ask you this. Is it too much to look for a remote role in customer success manager role? Jesus Christ, that's a big designation. UK, US, if not how. I don't think it's much to ask about that. I think in the beginning of the year, I would say that most companies are still doing either hybrid or remote work. Today, a lot of companies are migrating back to in person, right? Going back to the office. Though I would say it's 50-50 now. So it's totally feasible to find such an opportunity, all right? Yeah. All right. Now, if you're not based in the UK nor the US, you have to look for job opportunities, remote job opportunities, hiring. Usually companies, for example, let's say there is a company in the United States and they're open to hire people to work remotely from different locations. If you're specifically okay with that, this is going to be described in the job post, and that's all right. If not, I wouldn't. I would apply, but probably they're not looking for somebody with your outside the United States. If it's not described in the job description, I don't think it's going to be, it's just going to be wasting your time, right? Are there any specific tips for resuming career after career break? Candidates with a continuity in employment always seems to get the upper hand. I don't know, Priya. I don't know. They get the upper hand. I don't know, Priya, because look, I think it's feasible to imagine a situation like this. Let's say Priya, she's been away for a few years because she wanted to, take care of her baby, let's say. So she's away, she hasn't worked in 2 or 3 years, versus somebody who's right now in the market and is looking for a new opportunity, right? Two different contacts. Who's got the upper hand? Well, the upper hand belongs to that person that is pouring knowledge, has a very positive attitude during interviews based on everything we spoke about here. And number 3, has good networking. I think that's the person who has the upper hand, not because of whether you stopped for many years, whether you're 50 years old or 60 years old. I already hired Scrum Master 52 years old. Zero problem with that. It's all about the attitude. It's all about networking. It's all about knowledge, guys. Can you share the book name? Yes, of course. Let me show you here on my camera. This is the book. Take a screenshot. All right. There you go. User stories applied. All right. I have a technical background. Oh my God, wait. Yeah. Tatiana. How can a candidate effectively communicate their passion during interviews? Intonation is very important, Tatiana. I think the way you convey things, your body language is the way. Even though we are talking virtually, you see that. Look at my body language. This shows passion, doesn't it? The adjectives you use, the intonation you use when you're talking about specific subject displays your passion 100%. All right. Now, contrast everything that we're talking about here. Imagine if I were like, yeah, guys, it's like, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm able to, let me know, guys, if I'm able to convey what I'm trying to convey to you guys. I'm trying to show you that it's all about body language, intonation, right? All right. I have a technical background for the last 12 years. How can I portray myself as an eligible candidate in my CV without practical knowledge? I have CSM and PSM1 certification. I have, that's exactly what we covered here. You have to display on your LinkedIn profile. By CV, I understand LinkedIn profile, right, Shreya? Your LinkedIn profile is the door to everything in when it comes to landing a job, right? Everybody's going to look for yourself on LinkedIn. They may look for you on Instagram. Eventually, Facebook, not very likely, right? So make sure that every knowledge you have over there that you're consuming out of your backlog, write an article or maybe create job posts, right? This is going to pump up your profile on LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile has to mirror the knowledge you have, right? Articles, posts, right? Nimitz, 12 years experience, software engineer, not a Scrum Master yet. I'm not getting a nod for the opportunities I applied to. What should I do? I don't know. I keep trying for CSM, get certified in PMI ACP. PMI ACP is useless, Nimit. Unfortunately, that's my opinion. I wasn't in Hyderabad per city chapter many years ago when on a trip to India, and I wasn't the first person that offered ACP training there, and it didn't jive. Right? I don't think you should pursue ACP. Perhaps the Discipline Agile package that PMI is offering right now, I would recommend that instead of ACP. All right. Yeah. All right. So we'll have a few more questions here. I am PO PM certified, work as a product owner. How do I get bullet point product manager to add to my resume? Please let me know. I don't understand the question. I'm sorry. People, can you please share a good resume template as Scrum Master? In many cases, we're not getting calls after applying. Yeah. I don't have a good template. All right. Could you guide us how to become Agile Scrum trainer? You need to know how to teach people. Thanks. Try to find training courses that teach you how to teach people. I think that's a good way to start. Of course, knowledge about Agile and Scrum, that goes without saying. Nagadeep, I'm an experienced quality analyst and had a CSPO certificate done. Can I get an opportunity to switch my career, and what roles am I eligible to apply and get a job offer? All right, Nagadeep, you can, if you're a quality analyst, QA people are usually they tend to play the product owner role, right? If you already have a CSPO certificate, I would say, yeah, to broaden your perspective, I would recommend attend product management training. Productschool.com. Take a look at this website. Venkat, I'm working as a senior business analyst, CSPO. Well, to choose the path, Venkat, what is it that you're more passionate about? Do you like working with more with business, the strategy, talking about competition, marketing, etc., about products, right? Dealing with business areas, managing stakeholders, or are you more like of a people person? If you're more like a people person and that's what you love, I would say go for Scrum Master / Agile Coach / Agile Master. That many names now. Sumanth, can you guide how I could be an Agile Scrum trainer? Yeah, I mean, if you enter my group, my WhatsApp group, I'm the admin of the group, so you can contact me there. All right, this is outside the scope of our talk here. Tips for Scrum Master resume. Well, if you guys are, all of you guys are looking for a resume tips and tricks when it comes, resume equals LinkedIn. Nowadays, resume CV equals LinkedIn, right? And LinkedIn, first thing you need to check is your banner. Banner, your name, and your certifications you have. These are the three things that we take a glance and go like, oh, so that's what this guy is about, right? If you guys want to take a look at a LinkedIn resume, let me share with you my LinkedIn, and let me know in the chat, what do you see there, right? Is it the LinkedIn of a trainer? Is it the LinkedIn of a consultant? Is it the LinkedIn of a, I don't know, a coach or a product manager? Let me know in the chat. just to add to previous question, should I apply on portal? I mean, portals, of course, Indeed.com, LinkedIn Jobs, right? Company website. This is going to depend on networking. So if you have somebody in the company, right? For example, let's say you want to apply for a job at McDonald's, and there, you know somebody in there. That's the question you got to ask this person. Do you understand? So that's why networking is fundamental. All right. All right, guys. More questions here. Yeah. Follow-up question. Is there any certification for being a Scrum trainer? Yes, it's called Certified Scrum Trainer, CST. There's also the Professional Scrum Trainer, right? Agile Guru. That's a cool one. Certified Agile Guru. To shift our career to PO, do we require to have CSP or any kind of certification? Is it mandatory to shift career to PO? It's not mandatory, Nitesh, but it is something that many companies, I think the vast majority of companies are going to be asking. Usually during the job description, the job post, they're going to be stating, I need a product owner with the following certifications. CSPO is probably going to be number one there, right? Terrific. That's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Thanks a lot for all the questions you asked. Thanks a lot for your engagement and your attention. I hope this was educational. I hope you got something positive from the webinar. Remember, knowledge, attitude, networking. If you don't have a plan that encompasses these three things, rethink your career plan. All right. So that's the main thing I want to share with you here. Thanks a lot. Have a great week, and I'll see you around. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Hater, and thank you so much for everyone to joining the session. And I've also added the job assistance program email ID, so you can always write to that email ID if you have any questions or any assistance you need for the job. And I'm also adding the KnowledgeHut web page link for more such webinars. Please visit the website and get registered. Right? Thank you. Have a great evening.